All right.
All right, we are set. Hello, Stacey. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, Pedro. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm
Good,
doing
good,
great.
good.
Enjoying the nice weather
Yes,
that we're having today. I'm pretty
yes.
sure there's going to be some rainstorm coming too, because it seems like every time we have a little bit of sun, the
It
rain
comes down.
follows. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But I can't complain too much because maybe was it a few weeks ago we did seem like have a little bit of a drought where it wasn't really
Oh,
raining.
yeah. It was pretty hot.
Yeah, and my grass was turning really brown.
Brown. It was rough. Didn't have to cut it for a while,
Yeah,
which was
yeah,
good. But it
yeah.
was so hot. You're right. And then the rain, it cools it off. But it
It
brings that
did.
humidity, though.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it brings that
Humidity is no
humidity.
joke. Humidity is
Mm,
no joke.
mm.
Well, definitely thank you for being a part of this Zoom call. And I wanted to, just to remind those that are new that I started a Facebook group called Black Acquisition Entrepreneurs. The purpose behind that is to teach, educate, and expose aspiring Black and Brown individuals, people of color that have an aspiration or would like to learn more about what it takes to acquire a company. Something that I kind of learned through my journey of being a venture capitalist investing, and I thought, like, you know what, this is an asset class that we have to see a lot of asset classes that talk about investing in real estate, investing in stocks, starting a business, but especially teaching, educating people of color. But no one's really doing it for actually buying a business. Buying a business is another way to build wealth.
Yes.
And for you and your family, you guys have invested and bought a lot of different things from commercial real estate, whether it's apartments, um,
Multi-uses.
multi-unit family
Hmm.
units,
Yeah.
of course,
Restaurants.
restaurants. I think maybe
Hmm.
in a barbershop, maybe.
Barbershop.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And what today we're going to talk about is specifically about you guys buying a gas station.
Okay.
So I know you got a lot of background and a lot of different other things too. But back gas stations at least intrigue me because it still falls within the category of commercial real estate in a way. It's a brick
Hmm.
and mortar business, but it seems like, and it's obviously it's a necessity in today's time because you
Yes.
need gas to drive.
Hmm.
But you don't really see or hear too many people that look like us that own gas stations.
Exactly.
And so I'm pretty sure other people may have thought about it at one point or another, but may never move forward to actually doing it because of multiple different reasons. So
Right.
I
Right.
wanted to maybe utilize this call to shed some light about possibly gas stations. And so, with that being said, what made you guys want to buy a business or buy a gas station versus maybe starting from the ground up?
Okay. First, I'd like to thank you, Pedro, for inviting me to your forum here. Um,
Absolutely.
and I'm glad, it's a pleasure for me to share my experience because I enjoy helping people, and to go into business is most people's ultimate dream. And
Hmm.
that's what we always wanted, to go into business. My
Right.
family did. We wanted to do this. We wasn't sure exactly what business we wanted to go into, but
Hmm.
we wanted to go into business. We looked at the McDonald's franchise. I think we looked at the Wendy's franchise. Um, and so we kind of played with different other little things. We were going to go into like a little mom and pop grocery store, but
Hmm.
that didn't work out. And so, um, sorry,
Yeah,
Pedro.
that's all right.
Oh, I better. So that didn't work out. So something came up. We where we worked at. My mom worked as a bank teller for at that time was First Pennsylvania Bank.
Hmm.
So she did a lot of transactions with a lot of different um, business owners. So this gentleman, he came in, he had three of them in the city of Philadelphia, which was in Germantown.
Hmm.
He was getting sick and he was getting older and he wanted to sell and he couldn't manage it no more. So my mom told me about it. And so we sat down and we thought about it and we discussed it. And we thought it was a pretty good deal. We looked at his papers and his book work and things like that. Um, it was a multi use kind of piece. It wasn't just gas stations. It was when they had turned those gas stations into convenience stores, gas
Oh,
stations.
okay, okay,
At first, it
okay,
was
okay,
like a two bay. They called it a two bay gas station where they would do the maintenance and then pump the gas. But then they changed them into so-called grocery stores like a Wawa's or something, where you can
okay,
have chips, tasty cakes, sodas, hot dogs, all kind of refreshments you could purchase there, um, and have the gas things there. We had the self pump gas stations, and years ago you had to pump someone had to pump your gas yourself, and then you had
mm-hmm,
the mechanic, and they
mm-hmm,
made their money basically through the mechanic. But as things changed, they started to turn over to this multi-use where you can buy food and come in like a
okay,
grocery corner store
correct,
plus your gas station. So we
correct,
like the numbers that we seen
okay,
and how the profit was, because the particular store that we got, um, it was no grocery stores around there.
oh,
So
okay,
our biggest sales were in the food. A
mm-hmm,
lot of the neighbors would walk there, was in the neighborhood where it was walking. And besides, it wasn't that many gas stations in the city of Philadelphia.
okay,
And
at
that
that time,
Germantown pocket, right? You had
okay,
one here, then you had to go all the way down to like a couple miles down to get another gas station. It wasn't that many of them. So we looked at it and said, well, it was not one until you get all the way down to this part, and not another gas station till you get another part, you know. So we thought we could get a nice little market, which we did. As far as the gas wasn't bad,
mm-hmm,
our food was even better.
mm,
So our turnover on the food markup, which was great, but we sold a lot more food than we. But the gas was okay, but that was to bring it in.
mm.
So it worked out. It worked.
So,
So go ahead.
okay, no, go ahead. You was gonna finish saying something?
No, I was just saying that's what made us decide to go with the gas stations. And like you said, it wasn't that many African Americans having gas stations at that time. Most of the gas stations were owned by other ethnic groups. So this is something that we thought we can come in, and we were in our neighborhood. We were part of that neighborhood. So
Mm,
people knew us. Our family was in that neighborhood. So our family knew us. Our church was in that neighborhood. So that was an extended family. So we just thought it was a win-win.
yeah, yeah. So it sounded like the way you evaluated that particular gas station. Well, one, it sounded like the one plus side is that there was already revenue, there was already cash flow, and it was just a matter of looking at it, reviewing the numbers, just to make sure it makes sense. But because it sounds like what you guys did was like a competitive analysis before you acquired it, where you, like you said, you determined that
Yes, yes,
from the gas
yes,
perspective, there wasn't a lot of competition around, so
yes.
that gives you a little bit of a monopoly in that, and at least in that geographic location. And the same
Hmm.
thing with the grocery store; there wasn't any other convenience store
No, right.
around, or at least within a certain proximity. So it gave you a little bit of upper hand because people by default will go to you guys to get gas as well as to go get food.
Food, exactly.
So it was a way to kind of double dip. And I think you said this too. Um, it made me think about something you told me before, about how the difference between a gas station that's kind of inner city and
Yes.
compared to a gas station, let's just say, is out in the suburbs, and how having that convenience store really helps out. Do you mind just shedding some light on
Sure,
that?
sure. Um, in the city, typically people didn't fill their gas tanks up. In the city, the people would basically get $5, $10 just to get them to where they need to go to and back.
Mm-hmm.
As if in the suburbs, people tend to buy a full tank. When they got
Mm,
gas, they got a full tank of gas.
mm-hmm.
Majority of our customers were just getting gas so they can get to the doctor's office and back, or get to the supermarket to where they had and back home, or get to church, or it was never very seldom you got a person to fill up their tank.
Correct.
So we
Correct.
got a lot of people, but they were $5 on one, $10 on this. So, but my food, by no supermarkets around for miles. A lot of them did their food shopping at the mini market, which we had a higher markup.
Mm.
because
Interesting.
your bread and tasty cakes were standard because no matter where you go, your Stroman bread or your bread was basically the same price.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go into our store, if you wanted to buy um, applesauce or grits or oatmeal, it was a markup. Your cereal was a nice markup because you're not getting it from the supermarket. It was a convenient
Mm.
store. And then we also had little foods like hot dogs, different sandwiches, steak sandwiches, little hoagies, tuna fish sandwiches. Then we had the fountain sodas, um,
Okay.
drinks like that Slurpees. It's like on that
Oh, yeah,
7-Eleven kind of piece,
yeah.
which was
Okay.
even better. But it was a big difference. And we had to set our mindset to that. Our biggest thing was on that floor with the food versus outside with the gas.
Mm. Okay.
Because
Okay.
it was a little nickel and diming us with the gas, with the volume of gas, but it
Mm-hmm.
brought people in to purchase other things while they were there.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. 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 I definitely understand. Well, thank you for sharing that. And one quick question that I want to go back to, which was when you found, you said this was your mother that gave you.
My mother gave me that information. She was, because she knew I was looking for something like this. So
You guys
my
were already looking
mom,
for a gas station,
we were no,
or?
we were always looking to go into business. We were thinking about a McDonald's,
Oh, okay. Okay.
Burger
Okay.
King.
Gotcha.
We
Gotcha.
were
Gotcha.
looking at a
Gotcha.
franchise, like other opportunities. So when we looked at this, she said, "Oh well, this gentleman, he's African American. We can, he's not doing well. He's sick, so we
Mm.
can help him out, but it's also helping us out." So it was a win-win to help him out as well as
Yeah.
we were helping ourselves out too.
And I'm glad you said that too, because a lot of times, especially for acquisition of companies, deal making rather, there's a lot of opportunities, especially with baby boomers today,
Hmm.
who are, they say that this is the biggest generation of baby boomers in a long time. And there's just supposed to be this big transfer of wealth. And transfer of wealth could be a lot of different things given to the children, but also could
Right,
be
right.
liquidating in
That's
terms
right.
of selling to someone else. But they're saying some of the things to look for when trying to find they call it a motivated seller, and you
Hmm.
guys hit all the points. So some of the things to look for, is it a more seasoned person, more
Yes,
that's on that retirement age?
yes,
Is it a person that may be burnt out? Is the person having health issues?
correct.
um, because especially for small businesses, is more about, especially if you want to create a good win-win deal structure,
Hmm.
it's about how do you solve their problem, which, like you said, you're solving his problem because this is his way out,
Yes,
so he can
yeah,
take care of his health.
yes,
And for you guys, it was a way in, so you guys continue to build wealth. And because I get a lot of questions of how do you find deals, which there's no, and there's a lot of different ways how do you find deals. There's this proactive
it
approach.
is.
You send out letters, you build a database and send out letters.
Yes,
But then also sometimes too, I share this with a lot of people. You got to start letting people know what you're doing.
exactly. You have to tell people. And it was a word of mouth because
Yeah,
the
yeah,
gentleman didn't have to say anything, and my mom
exactly.
didn't have to say anything, but he knew that she was looking because
Correct,
she told people she was looking. And
correct,
my daughter, would like to go. We were interested in doing A, B, and C. So
correct.
that's how we did it. And we went in it as a family. I ran the store, and then each one of us had different shifts so that a family member was always at the register.
Ah, okay, okay. You know what? And speaking of that, let's go into that. Jump into that question. Like in terms of management, how
Hmm.
did you? So you guys purchased the gas station.
Hmm.
I'm going to assume there was probably already employees there.
There were already
Um,
employees there.
yeah, yeah. So what was you guys' game plan post acquisition?
We decided to keep some people,
Okay.
and some people we decided to let go.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think we kept, I'm trying to remember, we kept about two people. One was the main manager during the day because he helped me. I was like a shadow to him.
Okay.
And he
Okay.
helped me to how to manage everything, how to do the ordering, when the orders come in, what I need to do. So that was good. I worked along with him, and him and I worked hand in hand more or less
Okay.
because he was always there. He was like the mechanic And then when they switched it over into the food piece of the
Mm.
gas station, he was always there. So he was this guy's right hand man. So I kept him, but and I kept another gentleman that came on at night, and he
Okay.
was from the grassroots. We knew him.
Okay.
So he was in the neighborhood. And well, a little story back. My family is from Germantown. We've been from that Germantown area for years, since 1917, 1918. So my
Okay.
mother and father was
You said
born.
1918?
They came up. My grandparents came up after World War II, during
Okay.
World War One. I'm sorry, World War One.
Okay.
And they had little land and stuff, lots and houses that they was allowed to live in, because he did days work, and he worked down at the VA
Okay.
down on Broad Street,
Okay.
at the end
Okay.
on Broad Street, because he was in the army.
Gotcha.
So that's how they came up from out of Georgia. So my both of my parents were born in Germantown.
Okay.
So they were raised there. So we kind of knew who the original Germantown African Americans were, because everybody knew each other.
Ah, I see. I see.
And as the 60s came in, that was the turn where a lot of people from North Philly came up to Germantown.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
was like the turn when you hear people say, "Oh, I've been in Germantown since 1960." But yeah, but my parents and them been there, grandparents been there since 1918, 1919.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
we were one of the original, like they so-called Germantown blacks that were there
Okay.
already.
Okay.
So we kind of knew people's family and things like that. So the guy that did the second shift, he was like the manager. He had been in that neighborhood. We knew him, and he knew
Mm.
our family. We knew his family. So we kept him.
Okay. Okay.
So, but each person, I had my brother did night shift, and then my dad, he worked for SEPTA. He was a manager. So he would come in and stop in every so often.
Okay.
And he would come
Okay.
in at nighttime, check up on things, make sure my brother was okay, everything was good at night. And then we had a midnight to 8 shift. I had two uncles that had retired, and they needed a little extra money. So they did that midnight to 8 shift, they were locked inside. They worked through what they call a little Susie,
Oh yeah, yeah. They call it that little window
that
that you
little
gotta
window.
you push it
So
out to put
yeah, they
money
push
in,
it out.
all
They tell
that.
them what they
Yeah.
wanted. So they
Yeah.
didn't mind that, because they were inside
Yeah.
and the customers were outside.
Yeah. And
And
what
you
did you
after
call that? You said
we
Susie?
called it a little Susie. They
Little
called it
Susie.
little Susie. You turn it and you put your money
Yeah.
in. And I wanted Pepsi, or I want a tasty cake or chips or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
milk, and then you just put it in there. Um, so that's how I did. And I would come in 8 o'clock, about 7:30, 8 o'clock, before the shift change, dip my gas tank, and all you had to take your measurement, order the
Yeah.
gas, do what you have to do, count your money, manage, make sure, settle everyone's sheet
Yes.
to make sure that they balance out on their register what they took in and what they took out. So all
Yeah.
that I kind of picked up and learned. They had that one manager, so we kept two people.
Okay.
So anyone else that we hired, I did hire other people,
Mm-hmm.
but it was always a family member that was there that stayed on the register.
Register. Yeah. And why was that? I mean, I know there's an obvious reason for that, but I just want to have you say it.
Well, we wanted to manage the money. Only the money
Yeah.
that came through had to come through our hands,
Okay.
so that we knew that we had to get that extra money was coming through.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And that's great that you guys it became a family affair
Yes,
through that endeavor. And speaking of family affair, was it the way you structured that deal? Oh, by the way, is that gas station still around?
that gas station is not around. What
Oh,
happened
okay.
was, Atlantic Richfield
That's
owned
right.
the
Okay.
all the gas that was in there was Atlantic Richfield, and it was one there. And we also had one at um, Broad and Huntington, which is still there. They call it A plus
Okay.
now. Atlantic Richfield went out of business, and then they moved over to the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped selling here on the East Coast. They just did limited place. Now, Broad and Huntington is right off the expressway before
Okay.
you get onto Roosevelt Boulevard. So it's a big gas spot. People buy a lot of gas there because
Gotcha.
they are off of the highway, they filling up,
I
getting
see.
back on the
Yeah,
highway.
yeah. Then did you guys still own that one, or you guys are out of the gas
We're out
station?
of that. That's
Okay,
company owned.
okay,
So
okay,
when they sold all the A plus mini, the Atlantic Rich or the A plus mini markets, some of them they kept, which was the high volume. I believe they kept one at Cotman and Tarsdale up in the Northeast. Certain ones they would keep that was right off the different highways. Now that
okay,
one's right off of 95
okay,
as you're going up to Girard, up in that northern part of Philadelphia.
okay.
They did keep some locations, but most of them they did shut down because they needed that gas volume, which they were getting from like California,
Mm-hmm.
Washington,
Mm-hmm.
Oregon, over on that West Coast.
Yes, yes, yes.
So,
That makes sense. That makes sense. So regarding the family affair, now how did you guys struck? So after you talked to the gentleman, which is nice, seems like the nice part is that you didn't have to deal with any brokers. You got to talk straight to the owner,
mm-hmm.
and be able to hash out the deal there. Um, can you talk a little bit about structuring a deal? Like, there's some of the family invest in there, or just pretty much you and your husband, and or you guys get bank loans, or how did you guys structure
Well,
to finance the
we
package
did
deal?
have money much saved up. Majority of it, we had money that was saved up. Then we kept the cash piece. We did give part of the cash. We refied the house. We took the equity out of our home.
Oh, okay, okay,
Okay,
okay,
and
okay.
we used bulk of that.
Gotcha, gotcha. So you didn't
And
go to a traditional bank, and I'm glad you brought that up too,
mm,
because a lot of times people are thinking like, how do I finance? And so
we did our home.
the default answer which everybody goes to is the bank, which is
Mm-hmm.
understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, really, the question is how you just gotta find the money, especially
Yes.
if you are not well stacked in terms of having a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you want to leverage what you have. And I remember reading a book by Why Do White Guys Have All the Fun by Reginald Lewis.
Yes.
You heard about him?
Yes.
Okay, and I
Yes.
remember when he was structuring the deal. Now he did use some bank and all that,
Okay.
but he did, if I recall correctly, he did take out a little mortgage on his
Mm-hmm.
house.
Mm-hmm.
And actually they don't really promote it, but he actually, that first acquisition was really like a no money down deal for him,
Right.
because he found some lenders to do the bulk. He found some investors as another part of his capital stack. Um, so I think it was bank, investors, and I think he used a pulled a mortgage from his house
Mm-hmm.
to represent his own personal pocket, and he used that. And then, granted, yes, it was. You could say that's part of his money, he has to pay it back, but he didn't have to come out of his own
Right.
pocketbook for,
Right.
for, for that. And in the point about paying, he has to pay that mortgage back from his loan. Technically speaking, the business, especially if you bought a nice, good, profitable business,
Yes.
that business will pay back
It
that
exactly.
mortgage. So that's interesting. So the when you guys refinance, that took care of majority of
Yes.
the bill. Uh,
Correct. And
and then you use your own cash that you guys already have saved up to do the rest.
yes,
You bring in outside investors. Okay.
because what they had to look at when they see when Atlantic Richfield,
Hmm.
the company that has the gas, they look and see, are you able to sustain? Are we going to do this franchise with you? If you're not able to sustain it financially, we're not going to do it. So we had to show that we had X amount of money saved up,
Mm.
and then we was going to refi, the equity out of our home or out of our
Okay.
property.
Okay.
And that's what did it. So we kept our cash piece so that we can just keep
Smart. Yeah.
going back
Hold the
in.
cash. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because you have to fill those tanks up. Like when they make that drop of gas,
Yeah.
that's a big load.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about thousands, it's thousands and thousands. There's big loads coming in, and then they might drop 2 week on a weekend twice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good strategy on money management. Finance is something,
Yes.
because you're right. I'm gonna speak to, because it sounds like you guys well, not sound like you guys did go through a franchise versus being independent, and I
Mm-hmm.
do want you to speak about that in a second. But I want to stay on the finance piece because I think, especially for people of color, a lot of times we don't come from the best financial
True.
backgrounds,
You're right.
and a lot of times we have to be creative
Yes.
in the way we structure deals. And so the fact is, a lot of times you can use cash, like you guys. A lot of franchises, they say that you got to have X amount of liquid cash available before we entertain you.
Right.
And sometimes if you have that, great, but it's not necessarily, especially investors, finance people, they would never tell you pay all cash for anything.
Right.
Um,
No, don't tie.
it does,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want to tie your
That's
liquid up. Mm-mm.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Never tie your liquid up like
Never.
that.
Mm-mm.
So never ever pay 100% cash in anything.
Right.
And so, like what you guys did, yeah, you probably had to put a little bit of cash down, but you still had a significant cash on
Yep.
reserve.
Yep.
You just leveraged the mortgage as a way to pull
Yep.
cash from that,
That's
other
right.
people's money, as they call it, right?
Yes.
To finance that. But you just had to show him on paper that you did have some cash available,
Exactly.
so that way it could check off their box. So that's actually really great. I just wanted to highlight that just for anyone listening,
Mm-hmm.
to say, okay, these are just another tool that you can use to help finance your acquisition.
Exactly.
And lastly, you mentioned, you told me this before, but what was the main difference of the independent and franchise brand? What were some of the benefits of why you guys went franchise versus independent?
Well, I have done both,
Okay,
franchise
okay,
and independent. I prefer independent.
okay.
Franchise is good because it has a structure and they
Mhm,
already know how they want it and
mhm.
how they want it structured. Like you said, Dunkin' Donuts. They know how many donuts you can sell an hour. They already have
Correct,
everything all figured out,
correct,
um, and they know how much royalties and things that you have to pay them. As
correct.
if your own business, you dictate what you want and what you can do,
Yes.
and there's no limit. You can open up another one here or there. You don't have to follow their rules and regulations.
Yeah.
So you're more
Yeah.
independent and you can do more. To me, I can do more. I can be more creative. I
Yes.
can um, fashion, or I can make my business contort to my customers,
Yes.
because my customer base is different than what you learn in the books.
Yeah.
We're dealing with
Yeah.
African Americans, which under different circumstances and different situations.
Correct. Correct.
So for me to be on my own and independent, I can do that.
Yes.
I guess it depends on where you're at and your location. In the
Yeah.
city, I like to be more independent. Out
Oh,
here, I'm in the
interesting.
suburbs, I can do more of a structure because you're in a more structured environment.
Okay.
Customers that you're going to be dealing with, you can have that already in place, that
Okay.
franchise piece in place. And I
Okay.
think that's why you don't see too many mom and pop places out here. But in the
Yeah.
city, you can, because you have to be flexible because you're dealing with a whole different mindset when you're dealing with in the city or the different clientele.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like dealing with the city people because I mean they spend money.
Yeah. 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 Especially on food.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
entertainment, food,
Yeah.
just about anything. They want to be comfortable. Hair
Yeah.
products,
Yes. 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 I think beauty, food, and entertainment. Maybe
entertainment.
I'm gonna throw fashion in there too.
Yeah,
Um, those are our biggest buckets when
yeah.
it comes to spending money. Our
But if
biggest
they
buckets.
made more money, they'd like to have nice homes.
Yes, I agree.
Nice homes and nice
I
cars, but they don't have that kind of extended money where they can have the kind of home that they really like or would like
yes,
to have.
yes, yes. And the good part, it's funny you brought that up. I know that's not necessarily related to gas stations, but I have started. I'm starting in my personal observation, starting to see a
Hmm.
trend of more of us living and growing up in suburbs,
Yeah.
buying. Now it's still not a large magnitude of it,
Mm-mm.
but there is a wave
Yep.
of people moving to suburbs, buying nicer homes.
Nicer home.
Like even in our neighborhood,
Making the sacrifice. That's right.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
figuring out how to do it.
Yeah.
Um, like actually, we just had somebody build a house in our neighborhood on our block, and
Hmm.
they're from Philly, actually,
Okay. Okay.
down the road. And so at least in our neighborhood is really diverse. And I know your neighborhood is really diverse.
Yes.
I grew up in there.
Yes.
But it's nice to see more coming out
Yes.
and buying these bigger homes.
And they do a very good job. And I look, like you said, in my development, the development that you're familiar with as
Hmm.
well, most of our homes that we live in are very nice homes.
Yes,
We
yes,
keep it up. We do. If we have the money, we're going to do it. It's just that some people in the city end up with the end of the stick. They don't have a job no more. Those
correct,
factories closed down. So then
correct,
the houses, they can't keep it up. They don't
correct,
choose to live that way. It's just
correct.
the
Yeah,
economic situation where
exactly.
they don't have a job to afford nice things, because we like nice things.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think you said it correctly. That well, actually, I already lost it. I think you said
Mm,
they cannot afford to have those nice things that they really do want.
yes.
I think that's what you said.
Yeah. Because of
It,
the economic situation, they don't have a job, or the job that they do have is not paying them that kind of
yes,
money to maintain the household, but they need a job.
yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. So I definitely don't want to hold you up anymore.
Oh,
One last question or thought: if someone wants to think about buying a gas station today, um, what is a good tip that you would like to leave them with to begin going down that road?
going down that road. I would like to leave with them to be open.
Okay.
Look at the franchise, look at the independent, but
Mm-hmm.
always have a multi-use. Just don't have just one, like just pumping gas.
Mm-hmm.
Always have it as a multi-use, whether it's a Dunkin' Donuts and you have your gas and you have other eateries in there, or chips and hot dogs or whatever, something that you can bring the people in. So you need more or less like a convenience store. Don't be afraid. And,
Awesome.
and
Okay.
that's part of life. You need to
Yeah.
take that risk. You don't know
Yeah.
until you
Yeah.
try it. And the more we do it, to try these risks, the better we come in as a person,
Absolutely.
as an
Absolutely.
individual. Because I learned so much. I met so
Absolutely.
many people, and I learned a lot
Yes.
that
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I don't like to help other people. I always
Yeah.
believe in that. I like to reach back and help someone else, because someone
Absolutely.
helped me, and I need like to help someone else.
Absolutely. Speaking of help, for anyone that's watching, if you have interest of possibly going down that road of buying a franchise or any other commercial property,
Mhm.
Stacey is available for consult. She's willing to help. Of course, obviously,
Yes,
there's a fee attached to it. So,
yes.
do you mind just sharing your contact info so that they know how to reach out to you?
Sure, sure. I don't mind at all. If anyone is interested in thinking about going into business and have any questions or how to go about doing it and need some type of consultation, my email address is srob236161 at
Okay.
gmail.com. And my phone number, which might be easier to contact me, phone number as well, is 302-345-6335.
Awesome, awesome.
Shall I
Thank you
repeat?
so much. Say it again.
Should I repeat it?
Yeah, go ahead and repeat. It doesn't hurt.
It
Yeah.
don't hurt, will
Yeah.
it? So my email is S as my name, Stacey, ROB as in Roberts, ROB, and then it's a 236-161. It's my old phone number at gmail.com. And my number here is 302-345-6335, and it's Stacey Roberts.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Stay on, but I'm gonna stop the recording, but stay
Thank you,
on.
Pedro. Thank you
Uh,
so much.
no problem, no problem at
It's been
all.
a pleasure.
Likewise.